After this I looked, and there was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, robed in white with palm branches in their hands. They cried out in a loud voice, saying, "Salvation belongs to our God who is seated on the throne, and to the Lamb." Well, greetings, friends, and welcome back to today's edition of Extraordinary Connection. My name is Pastor Devin, and I serve at Romeo United Methodist Church. And these verses that I started off today's devotion with, they come from Revelation 7, verses 9 and 10. And as you may be aware, this coming Sunday is All Saints' Day, a day that we set aside each year to celebrate and remember those faithful servants who have passed on in the past year. In many churches, they celebrate and they recognize this day in different ways. Some have traditions that date back many years, the traditions that they've done to remember each year. Other churches, they acknowledge and remember in different ways each year to take time to set aside and remember those who have passed on. No matter what the case is, it is a great way to stop and remember those who are no longer with us, to remember their contributions to our churches, to remember the difference they've made in our lives. I'm sure even as I've just been talking these few brief moments, I'm sure that even now most of us have some of those names. Maybe even you have a picture in your mind's eye of that person or those individuals that come to mind when I mention those who have played a part in our own faith journey. I know there have been a number of those individuals in my life, those who have made a significant contribution to me in my faith journey, and I do appreciate the time that we take each year to remember those that have passed on. But today I wanted to speak to something else that I think all too often can happen in our churches, in our lives. You see, we like to take the time to remember for All Saints' Day, and while it is a time to celebrate, there will also be some of those tears that are shed as we remember those that we love but no longer see. And while it's great to take that time for a Sunday each year as a community of faith, I also think that too often we can then ignore or forget the other 364 days of the year. Because dealing with death and loss, it's a tough thing in our world. We often feel like we don't know what to say or what to do when someone has suffered a loss. And of course, we as a community of faith, we rally around those in the immediate days after a loss. We offer our support and prayer. We offer meals. We offer to do whatever we can, whatever is needed in those times. But I've noticed, maybe you have as well, that sometimes there's a shift that happens. And while we're still trying to be supportive, we also want to make sure we're not going to upset the individual or the family that has lost a loved one. And it seems somewhere along the way we stop talking about the deceased. We stop mentioning them specifically. We don't want to upset. We don't want to bring up those memories that might cause pain. And it may seem like it's the kind thing to do to not remind the family of their loss, to not bring it back up in their memories. But I would challenge all of us today to maybe reconsider that stance. Because of course I do not want to cause any additional hurt. That's not what I'm suggesting. I don't want to cause pain to someone who's dealing with a loss, even if it's been some time since they've lost their loved one. But I would suggest, I also think that telling a family member how much their loved one meant to you is not going to perpetuate that hurt. I would argue that it's probably going to do the opposite of hurting, and in fact, it is a wonderful help to those families who have lost loved ones. Because when we share those memories, we share those stories, when we remember, we are reminding them of the good that their loved one did. We're reminding them that they have made a difference in our lives and their efforts are forever appreciated. We are reminding them that their loved one's life, that they live on through all of us who were impacted by their life. We honor their loved ones by helping them remember. by sharing in those memories together. So my challenge to all of us as we approach All Saints' Day this weekend is this: who can you offer some encouragement to this week? Maybe it's one of those saints we'll be celebrating this weekend's families. Maybe it's someone else. But whose family might you be able to reach out to? Who can you reach out to with a phone call or a message or a letter? Who can you remind of the difference that their loved one made in your life? I encourage you to share those stories, share those memories. Because while those individuals may have passed on from this planet, we can still celebrate them and their contributions to the church, to the world, and to us personally. Those memories and stories, those good times, those are ours. Those are forever. Until that day that we will join them at the throne of the Lamb. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.